Hi everyone, welcome to my New Orleans vlog. We decided to go to New Orleans for our wedding anniversary because I've always wanted to go. It's about a 7.5 hour drive, so we left super early. And as we got further down south, we had to make a pit stop for boiled peanuts, of course. Here we are driving over this gigantic bridge. It was really cool. As we were getting into the city, there was already so many crazy Victorian homes everywhere. This one was actually insane. But chaos ensued shortly after arriving when we went to our hotel and found out that we had been accidentally scammed and there wasn't actually any rooms available. And there were no rooms available literally anywhere else either. But we eventually found a place, but it was just a Hyatt rather than a cute boutique hotel. But oh well. Here we are just driving through some of the neighborhoods outside the French Quarter. So gorgeous. Every single house is historic and beautiful, and I really love the big mossy oaks everywhere. Next time I think I really want to stay in a historic B&B or inn or something, because I was looking around and there's some really gorgeous Victorian mansions that you can stay in. Yeah, after we got checked into our hotel, we were just wandering around the French Quarter, got some gumbo and a po' boy from here. And then we came back out in the evening for dinner, and it was 10 times crazier than it was during the day. People everywhere, lights everywhere, music everywhere, just a lot happening. We got dinner at Felix's Seafoods. They're famous for oysters, and my husband's really into that. I got jambalaya for the first time, and I loved it. It was so good. So that was the end of the travel day. Good morning. It's our first official day in New Orleans, and we're having some beignets at Cafe du Monde. I am gluten intolerant, so I couldn't really eat them, but I had a bite and they were super good, and the cafe was very cute. After that, we went into a couple shops that were next door and got some pralines and a Christmas ornament. And we went for a little walk by the water on the way to the St. Louis Cathedral. Today is supposed to be our museum day, but we accidentally woke up just way too early, so we had to kill some time. So we saw this, and then we went to this little cemetery that was so cool. There's a lot of marble and stone everywhere, and there was a bunch of mausoleums that were just really intricate. Also really pretty wrought iron gates. I love wrought iron stuff. And there was this little chapel in there that was so cool, and this big marble crucifix. I believe this was St. Roche Cemetery. Then when it was time for the museums to open, we headed over to the World War II Museum. A little breakfast in their cute little 50s cafe. I kind of just went to the World War II Museum for my husband because I'm not particularly interested in it, but it was actually really crazy and gigantic, and there was all these crazy scenes that they had set up to look like different countries that you were in. I really liked this nurse stuff that they had too. It was so cool. They had a lot of trinkets. I really enjoyed just going around and looking at all the little trinkets. This was the winter Germany area, and they had a whole setup of Anne Frank's house. It was way cooler than I thought. It was also really horrifically sad, really, it was a lot. I would not recommend going if you're very sensitive, but I think it's very important to see. So we are off to the Historic Pharmacy Museum, which is what I've been the most excited about. You step inside and you're immediately just kind of in the museum. It's very small, but they have a little gift shop area at the front. I ended up actually getting this book, and then it's just self-guided. There's little plaques everywhere kind of explaining stuff. This display case was early anesthesia stuff, which was really cool. We headed upstairs. There's a little upstairs area where they had an old wheelchair and a bunch more display cases to look at. This one was about vaccines. Had some glass eyes. This case was very disturbing. It was about syphilis and making prosthetics out of other parts of the human body. Anyway, it was so cool. It was very small and crowded, but still so much to see. 10 out of 10, definitely my favorite thing. Next, we got lunch at Napoleon House, which was so yummy. Then we headed over to the Storyville Museum. Storyville was New Orleans' red light district, so essentially the prostitution museum. It was really cool, took you along the history of prostitutes immigrating to New Orleans. There's some cool lighting and cool displays. They had this little setup with a hologram lady, very cool. This absinthe thing where you could press it and then see what absinthe smells like, which was cool. Here's their little photo booth setup. You can take silly pictures. pretend to be a lady of the night. Overall, it was definitely very educational. Like, everything I learned, I had no idea about beforehand. I knew that New Orleans kind of had a reputation for like red light district stuff and like scandalous things, but I didn't really know the whole history behind it. And it's definitely a very rich and interesting history. And just stuff we were not taught in school, obviously. One of my favorite parts was these old photographs of some of the working women. These were like their little boudoir nudie photos, which is so fun to see because I feel like you don't get to see a lot of that kind of stuff from the 1800s and early 1900s. This was my favorite one. At the end, they had these fun little peep show machines where you could look in and see a scandalous photo or video. This one was just a lady ironing while in a nightgown. I don't know if that was like crazy back then, but yeah. They had this little game where you squeeze the lever and it's supposed to tell you what type of sex appeal you have. I got flirtatious. And yeah, that was the end of day 1. Good morning, it's New Orleans vlog day 2. We're up super early on our way to our airboat tour. Drove about 45 minutes outside of town to the little meeting spot. Also, this is the company that Lana Del Rey's husband works for. And I was hoping that he would possibly be our tour guide, but he was not, of course. I think he's in Paris right now. But yeah, this was our boat, the Cajun Limo 3. It was very loud, but yeah, they took us out on the bayou, on the swamp. We saw some birds, and mainly just more birds. No alligators. Well, there's one tiny alligator that we saw, but it was cool. It was pretty. I was a little sad that we didn't get more alligator encounters, but oh well, it was still fun. And we did get to see the cool bald cypress trees. And this is the only picture my husband took of me. So then we went and got some lunch at the gumbo shop. It was very cute and good gumbo. Then we went to Dark Matter Oddities. Unfortunately, after this, they did not let me film anything, but I got a cool book. It's called Beyond the Dark Veil, and it's a book of postmortem photography and just like Victorian mourning. So cool. Such a great find. We went to another little oddity shop, but we didn't really find anything and it was kind of weird, so we left. We headed over to Magazine Street and went to the Magazine Street Antique Mall. Saw this gorgeous little collection of Japanese bisque dolls and this painting, which I got. Overall, it was okay. I just got the painting, no antique German bisque dolls. Then we got a little drink and beignets at this little cafe nearby. Very yummy. Then we drove over to the Garden District. We tried to go to their cemetery, but it was closed, unfortunately. But then we just started walking around the neighborhoods to see the houses, and it was incredible. Oh my god, so many Victorian homes, all different styles. They were mostly like this kind of like Greek Revival Victorian, I think it's called. But there was a couple of Queen Anne's, a couple of kind of Second Empire style. It was really cool to see different styles of Victorian houses kind of mixed in with like the little Creole flair. After that, we went to another antique store called the Hidden South. Really liked this old puppet that they had. This piece was so cool, reminds me of Victorian mourning stuff. Lots of good little trinkets. They had this little tray that had a bunch of little like crucifixes and religious medals. I also saw these dentures and I literally wanted them so bad. They're so cool, but they're $75. Lots of cool little medicine bottles. Overall, I didn't end up finding anything as it was a little on the pricier side, but still like so cool to look at, kind of like a little museum. But yeah, that was the last place we went, and then the next day it was time to go home. I was able to get a sticker to go on my suitcase, and here's everything else that I got. Got a cookbook, some pralines, an oyster Christmas ornament, a little pin from the Pharmacy Museum, a mug from Café du Monde, and then this super sick like Victorian medical illustration book, and then the morning book. and the doll painting that I got from the antique store. But yeah, overall it was a really great trip. I would definitely go back, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this little vlog. Bye!